Hello everyone and welcome back to game week 3 of the 2024-25 Optegra Championship, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, for Manchester City versus Sale United, a Manchester derby to kick the days off for these two teams. Let's go through the squads, starting with Manchester City. They have number 1, Jay Pixton, number 7, James Simpson, number 9, Kareem Ali, number 10, Lucas Veza O'Brien, number 17, Sebastian Spink, number 20, Oscar Spink, and number 29, Stephen Miller-Whittaker. Their coaches, Ross Smith and Brad Heap. Sale United looking to extend their winning run to 2 games following a emphatic 5-0 victory over AFC Bournemouth Warriors yesterday, are comprised of number 7 Jack Hassan, number 13 Daniel Holt, number 17 Jake Hudson, number 20 David D, number 30 Mason Davies. Disregard Joey Levine, he has transferred to Manchester United and did so in the designated transfer period. Their coach, Jake Hudson. Let's look at the league table. You can see what a result for Sale United could do. Dudley with an impressive win over Leeds Dynamos earlier, put a little bit of a buffer over Sale United. A win for them here would see them go within a point of 7th position, but of their 11 games played, they've won 3, lost 5. Manchester City, when you're talking about what a result could do for the standings, you're seeing how congested it is between those final 4 teams. A win for them would see them go up to 10 points, so they could go within 2 of Sale United with 3 points here, which speaks to just how close it is in this division. They're having a fantastic season. They struggled slightly last year, acclimatising to life in the National League for the first time. They've got a very young squad, the youngest in the National League by a fairly significant margin. But the players are growing as a collective, and that is showing when they're playing their football. An average age of just 16 years of age. Live on Court B, Jeff and Dave Lewis bringing the action live from Teesside Steel and AFC Bournemouth Warriors. Teesside still looking to make it 4 wins from their 4 games played this weekend so far. Let's clear those graphics so you can see the final team talks and warm-ups of Manchester City and Sale United. Just to talk about Sale United and their performances yesterday. A 1-0 defeat to Villa Rockets Lions, I think deserves credit, certainly when you're factoring in the fact that Villa Rockets Lions have just secured a brilliant 5-0 victory over Hull and East Yorkshire. So yeah, full credit to Sale United for that one. They limited the damage, and it's a free-flowing attack of Villa at the moment. So that was great. AFC Bournemouth Warriors following that 5-0. Sale United's greatest ever scoreline in the National League. It was a hat-trick from David D, Daniel Holt with 1, and the youngest player competing within our National League, Mason Davies, with the other. So they'll be looking to get another win ultimately here and continue what has been a brilliant season And just bringing that table up again very quickly. If you're talking about teams that are showing clear progressions from the 23-24 campaign, you look at Manchester City, Nottingham Forest, Sale United, Leeds Dynamos, Villa, Rockets, Lions, particularly even Teesside Steel. They are much better outfits than they were last season. So don't underestimate what a season's of experience does for a team's performance and chemistry and collective understanding. I think Manchester City embody that more than anyone. And considering how young their squad really is, if they grow collectively, this could be a team we watch for the next 3, 4, 5 seasons mature and develop into a fairly formidable outfit. But thank you to all that are tuning in. As always, get your comments, predictions, thoughts in the comment section, and I'll give you a shout out. I'll be back as soon as we are live. And I am back. Manchester City versus Sale United. Thumbs up from Jay Pixton, thumbs up from Jake Hudson, and we're live. Our central referee, the very experienced Steve Crump, complemented by Paul Yates and Caroline Goldsborough. Excited for this one. Manchester derby. Manchester City have Jay Pixton. They have Kareem Ali. They have Lucas Veza O'Brien. And they have Sebastian Spink. Sale United, Jake Hudson, David D, Jack Hassan, and I think I'm right in saying a full debut for Mason Davies. Starting on the wing. Lucas Vez O'Brien looking to put early pressure on Sale United. He was unfortunate in having some chair difficulties yesterday, so he missed some of City's games. But he's back in the swing of things here, playing a key role in trying to get his side up the court in pursuit of that opening goal. 3 games played for Manchester City yesterday. They opened against title challengers Muscle Warriors before playing West Bromwich Albion, Dudley and Teesside Steel. Considering those opposition, there's not many days that will be harder than that on paper. They finished 3-0, 1-0 and 2-0 respectively. So when you're limiting the damage to 2-0 of Teesside Steel, 1-0 of West Bromwich Albion, Dudley, even 3-0 for Muscle Warriors, you have to say that they're impressive defensive performances, because there are some formidable attacking outputs for them. Today, obviously, they start against Sale United before they face AFC Bournemouth Warriors today at 5 minutes past 3. And from the looks of it, AFC Bournemouth Warriors only have 3 players present today, so already they're at a disadvantage. Not just that, they're without some key personnel, so hopefully AFC Bournemouth Boys can just get through this weekend and regroup, readjust ahead of game week 4 of the competition. David D and Mason Davies linking up as they did so brilliantly against AFC Bournemouth Warriors yesterday. The talk and the story, the narrative around Sale United yesterday focused on the man in possession now, Mason Davies, following a game of on commentary with David D, informed me that Mason's only been playing for 5, maybe 6 months, only started accessing the sport of power chair football in September of last year, and since then he has just shown so much talent, ability and potential that he's already forced his way into the narrative and the conversation of this National League squad, and one that is very impressive with some experienced players. Jake Hudson trying to prevent Kareem Ali from advancing into his defensive box. David D, the deepest of the 4 Sale players. Good work from Kareem Ali. Picks out Lucas Vezra-O'Brien, strikes the ball, doesn't quite make the contact he would have wanted. So Jack Hassan engages. It's this perfect amalgamation of experience and youth now for Sale. You've got the experienced heads of Jake Hudson and Jack Hassan, complemented by the potential of David D and Mason Davies. They have Daniel Holt on the bench. Jake Hudson. But the first time I've watched Manchester City so far this weekend. David D. Pick off, trying to break the press of Sebastian Spink. Impressed with what I've seen from Manchester City so far. They're putting some nice pressure on Sale United. Once again, Lucas Vezra-O'Brien unfortunate in not making contact with that ball, but Sebastian Spink trying to keep the attack live. Round of applause from the Manchester City coaches on the sidelines. They're really appreciating this collective effort. Kareem Ali into Sebastian Spink. Mason Davies just trying to create some space. Does so for Jack Hassan. Pick off back to Mason Davies. Can he angle it goal bound? Unable to put any real power to trouble Jay Pixton, who's called into action for the first real time this game. Very even opening 6 minutes. Manchester City probably the better of the two, but that is very marginal. Jack Hassan to take the resulting kick in. David D in a world of space in the centre, now closed down by Kareem Ali. Mason Davies the closest option down the line. David D just puts himself in a good area. If Jack Hassan can get the accuracy, which he's unable to do so. Sebastian Spink able to block. On one in favour of Manchester City. Sebastian Spink to take. Kareem Ali down the right hand wing. Lucas Vezra-O'Brien surrounded by red shirts on the left. Spink into O'Brien. Two on one in favour of Manchester City. A slight little bit of confusion. The play will now continue via this Kareem Ali indirect free kick. Sebastian Spink in the centre, Lucas Vezra O'Brien on the left. It shows the intent of Manchester City, committing players forward. Lucas not quite in a position to capitalise. He is playing in a chair, a different chair than one he's used to, so that will take some adjustment. Some of these players are so intrinsically linked and connected to their power chairs. They know the settings, they know the feel, and understanding their chair can sometimes take weeks, months, if not years to get. So jumping into a new chair straight away can mean timing and connections are somewhat off. So you can forgive that if it does occur. Sale United finally in the final third of Manchester City. Chance to trouble them here off of a stationary Sebastian Spink. David D looking to add another goal to his weekend's tally. Constant communication between Jay Pixton and Sebastian Spink in defence, just organising themselves in a fashion that prevents Sale United creating the space. Good work from Mason Davies there, just to anticipate that advancement of Jack Hassan and vacate the right-hand wing of Sale United, the left as you're viewing it. 12 years of age and already has fantastic game understanding. David D. Jack Hassan in the centre, who D finds, angles it goal bound. A brilliant last ditch shave from Jay Pixton to keep the score at 0-0. The best opportunity either side has had all game, 11 minutes in. Into the box, David D tries to engage it with his front bumper. In doing so, it takes it out the path of Mason Davies, out for a Manchester City kick-in. I'm not sure if it will pick up on stream, but David D so vocal in the centre. Another player who's only 14 years of age, playing well beyond his years. It's been a very intriguing matchup, very closely contested. Sale United with the better opportunities on goal, but probably Manchester City with the more sustained spells of pressure in the opposition half. Mason Davies there. That's a little bit of inexperience showing. If he stayed in reverse there, he could and potentially would have caught up to the ball and could have engaged it counterclockwise to attempt an effort at goal. That's a skill and attribute we see in some of the top wingers, not just in the country but the world. That comfort in playing in reverse. If you play in reverse, you can see the players around you. If you're looking up and you can see 7 other players on the court, you know there's no one behind you, so you have the comfort in knowing that you can advance down as long as you stay within the perimeters of the court. But that's something he can go back, he can watch, and he can try and adjust going forward. I think David D was communicating that message to him. So corner kick, Jack Hassan into the box, engaged by David D. The ricochet nearly found its way over the line, but well defended by Manchester City. Six and a half minutes of this first half remaining. Nothing to separate the two. Teesside Steel currently 3 goals to the good against AFC Bournemouth Warriors on court B, which gives them a nice buffer in their 3rd place position. They've got teams hot on their heels, but ultimately it's about points on the board. Mason Davies did have an opportunity to attempt an effort there. Some nice passing between the 3 attacking players. Had he let that run across his chair and then 180'd, would have probably caused Jay Pixton more issues than it ended up doing so. But that's something these streams and commentary allows teams to do now, is re-watch their games, see where they could have improved, what they could have done better, work on that in training with the hopes and aspirations of applying that in these games. Just angles off of Lucas Vezza O'Brien's chair, so Jay Pixon has to be called into defence. Mason Davies quick to limit the gap. I said it on commentary yesterday with Dean Williams when we was watching Sale United. It's not the fact that he's clearly good enough to be playing at this level, Mason Davies, at just 12 years of age. It's the psychological side that impresses me more. So he's so calm under pressure, playing against players double, if not triple his age within this division. Jack Hassan intercepts. 4-0 to Teesside Steel. Jay Pixton with the goal kick. Fired up the court all the way to David D. Into the path of Jack Hassan. Intercepted by Lucas Vezza O'Brien. But a great half of football. We've got 3 minutes remaining. Can one of these two just carve out that moment of magic to find the opening goal? Sale United finishing the half the better of the two. Manchester City were out the traps, threatening Jake Hudson in the early minutes of this half. Since then, it's just settled. David D. Jack Hassan always looking to pick out Mason Davies. Sebastian Spink, well left by Lucas Vezra-O'Brien to open things up. Couldn't capitalise on the return pass from Kareem Ali. But a lovely feint and dummy to set Kareem Ali away. Ali's pass slightly square. Had it been angled more goal bound, it would have probably yielded more success than it did. But that's how quickly the narrative and a game can change. David D. Jack Hassan. Pick off from Mason Davies. An opportunity here. Brilliant defending from Sebastian Spink. And kept in from Kareem Ali. That's a theme that's reoccurred across many Manchester City games, is that understanding and that solidity of their two pivot players, their two central players. It's always typically Jay Pixton as the most defensive in the goalkeeper jersey, and whether it's Sebastian Spink and or Oscar Spink, they do a brilliant job. Jake Hudson, I don't believe, has had a touch in the last 15 or so minutes. Probably shows the momentum and the way in which it's leaning, but it really is up for grabs. Beautiful dummy from Mason Davies this time. And David D finds the gap. A brilliant goal. First of all, the set piece on the right-hand side from David D. Dummy from Mason Davies. Jack Hassan fired it into the box for David D to open the scoring very late on in this first half. You have to appreciate the role in which Mason Davies played in that, although not directly. Just that shaping up to engage the ball drew the opposition out ever so slightly, which created the gap for Jack Hassan, which created the gap for David D. And David D with yet another goal to his name in Game Week 3 of the 2024-25 Optegra Championship. He was voted the standout player for Game Week 2. If he carries on this sort of form, he will most certainly be in the conversation for Game Week 3. At the conclusion of today's games, we will of course be running our Team of the Weekend competition, which also includes both the standout player of the weekend and the unsung hero of the weekend. That will be posted across the WFA's social media at the conclusion of the final game. Thank you to all that are tuning in to me for this one. Manchester City 0, Sale United 1. everyone, and welcome back to this fixture between Manchester City and Sale United. Very closely contested, only separated by a single goal, which was scored by David D very late in the first half. So hopefully see more of the same in the second in terms of competition and ability. I think the story from the first half is just the talent that we have even at this level. And when you're referencing, when I say this level, I'm referencing the league standings and the prospects and the potential of some of these players. And just looking now at Sebastian and Oscar Spink, James Simpson, you've got David D, Mason Davies, to mention just a few. These are players still in their early teens, playing at the highest of levels within the National League. The future of this sport has never been brighter. As of course, when you're talking about players and their potential, you have to reference the FA talent pathway and the programme which these players go from being scouted or being nominated to compete at the regional emergent talent programs, which goes up to the national emergent talent program, feeding into the England squads. And I know we've got several players currently on show present within that program. Yeah, really exciting to see. From the looks of it, it looks like Sebastian and Oscar Spink will feature alongside one another in this second half, and James Simpson will be brought into the action. He's scored some absolutely crucial goals for them so far this season. And yeah, referencing that table, a win for Sale United would take them to a point below Sale United and Leeds Dynamos. So a string of results for them could see them be in and around that pack. It's difficult to predict, really. I think we can all assume first and second will be comprised of GBG Knights and Muscle Warriors. But beyond that, Teesside still having a pretty sensational weekend. But that pack in the middle from Sale United up to Teesside Steel is so competitive, so intriguing, and is playing out really well. Likewise, when you're talking about the bottom of the table, you've got 4 points separating 9th and 12th, and I just caught a word from the Manchester City coaches, how they know how close it is and how important goal difference will be. You see there's only a few goals separating them and the teams immediately around them, so they just want to safeguard their position in this league for next season and then continue to show developments and signs of progression, which they are clearly doing in the 24-25 campaign. But you're back joining myself, Ryan Sipple, for the second half, Manchester City versus Sale United. Thank you all, as always. It's a pleasure to watch and commentate and bring you the action live from the Lee Westwood Sports Centre. Live on Court B, Jeff and Dave Lewis calling the action of Teesside Steel versus AFC Bournemouth Warriors. Comfortable 6-0 margin for Teesside Steel currently. Not sure exactly what that does for them, but as in for the weekend as a whole, but it would be 4 wins from 4, around 14 or 15 goals scored with none conceded. So they're having the weekend of the club's history, probably. I don't want to do a disservice to other weekends in which they've had real success, but this is one that I've seen them really push on and show signs of development. Early pressure from James Simpson here for Manchester City. I'll just bring confirmation of that substitute, or 2 substitutes now. James Simpson on in place of Kareem Ali. Also have Sebastian Spink on. Oscar Spink on in place of Lucas Veza O'Brien. Always love watching Oscar and Sebastian Spink playing alongside one another as brothers. They just have a sort of telepathic understanding of each other's games. Into the box, Daniel Holt has also entered the action, which I will confirm very shortly. Mason Davies, the starlet, has come off. So a few switch-ups in the break. That's something we typically see with Manchester City. They like to ensure that their players are all given equitable minutes to contribute and play power chair football. David D just breaking things up. Jake Hudson, very advanced, as you're seeing Jack Hassan drop into the defensive role. They're just going to switch back over now. I've lauded a lot of praise on David D and Mason Davies, but the performances they produce and the levels we're seeing from them is not possible without the foundational play and guidance from Jack Hassan and Jake Hudson, two players who never get the praise and credit they deserve. Brilliant individuals. Jake Hudson recently joined the club from Manchester United. He now's got this player coach role and he seems to be thriving within it. And Jack Hassan as well. Anyone that properly watches power chair football at championship level and does so reliably and consistently and watches all teams to gain that real full picture and understanding of the landscape will know that he is one of the leading players in the division. There's no question about that. Commentating back-to-back games all weekend affords me an amazing perspective of understanding players' performance levels and consistency and overall ability. And Jack Hassan never disappoints. He's a player that will always produce a 7 out of 10 performance, irrelevant of opposition, irrelevant of scoreline, never gives up. And you're seeing David D, you're seeing Mason Davies benefit from that. Fantastic captain for them. I said it on commentary yesterday. I want to just bring the full context in today as well. Sale United in transition, they've seen some key departures. Sam Turner, Thomas Pettigrew, Shannon Smith all look to seek other opportunities within the National League, whether that's the Premiership or Championship. So a real hard reset for them, and they're just defying all of the odds at the moment. Jack Hassan, the man in question, is going to have an attempt here. Goes for the commentator almost, as he doesn't quite make connection with that David D ball. Mark Hudson on the sidelines, just constantly communicating with his players. He'll tend to have the presence of Jonathan D as well. Two fantastic mentors that are helping this squad grow and develop. Well kept in by David D. Sebastian Spink with the job of dispossessing. It's a fairly emphatic scoreline on Court B, which is probably to be expected considering the fact that AFC Bournemouth Warriors are not only bottom of the table, they've got 3 players and they're without Chris King, who is central to the way that they play. Whether or not that's up to date, you can see it is 7-0. All the while this remains 1-0. Manchester City are still in this game. nice little run in the Jonga Group WFA Cup. Manchester City, they were successful in beating Teesside Steel in round 1. And when you're seeing the levels that Teesside Steel are producing this weekend, is one of the most impressive results Manchester City have ever had. And I encompass National League, WFA Cup and Regional League into that conversation. And then it was just a slight faltering where they lost 1-0 to Leeds Dynamos in round 2. So they're not in they weren't in the pot for yesterday's round 3 draw, but a nice little run which will no doubt boost their confidence for this weekend. And we're seeing that within their performances. Obviously in game week 2, their final fixture was against Hull and East Yorkshire, for which they won 1-0. James Simpson, the single goal scorer. The other win this season came against Nottingham Forest. Once again, James Simpson, the single goal scorer in that one. So when you're considering points on the board for Manchester City, 6 of them have come via James Simpson goals. So they'll be looking to him to convert if they can find a way to force the ball over to him. It's going to need Sebastian and Oscar Spink to work together to bypass David D, which is proven easier said than done in game week 3 of the 24-25 Optegra Championship. Daniel Holt's been fairly isolated since his introduction, which shows the role that Oscar Spink is doing. Factoring in this result to the conversation, Sale United have double the points of Manchester City now, but that isn't how things are playing out, which speaks to the competitiveness of this division. Indirect free kick for Jack Hassan here. Great opportunity for them to double their lead. David D just trying to position himself between Sebastian Spink and Jay Pixton. Angles it. James Simpson can engage. Very congested in that central area as David D guides it goal bound. Cleared by Jay Pixton. As Daniel Holt tries to vacate that space on the left. Daniel Holt with an opportunity, had it not been for the Sebastian Spink clearance, and Oscar Spink guides his chair to take Jack Hassan out the game, brilliantly so. Eventually going out for a Sale United ball. Next up on court A, what should be a great fixture. Manchester United versus West Bromwich Albion Dudley. I'll be bringing you the action live on that one. Likewise on court B, Villa Rockets Lions against Leeds Dynamos. Final 9 minutes in this one. Substitute signalled by the coaches of Manchester City. We'll see the introduction of Stephen Miller-Whittaker, the most experienced player amongst the ranks. Sebastian Spink, the player leaving in his place. A nice performance from Sebastian Spink. David D. Into Daniel Holt. Over to Jack Hassan. Lets it run across his chair. Nice intent. Never really had the power to trouble Oscar Spink. Again, Nice intent from Sale United, but the accuracy and power just lacking. So Manchester City will resume play with a goal kick. Beautiful pass from James Simpson over to Stephen Miller-Whittaker, who just wasn't quite on the same page to capitalise. Again, I'm wanting to see Stephen Miller-Whittaker or any equivalent in that position stay in reverse. The momentum that affords you shouldn't be understated. But nice from James Simpson. He's had little to no involvement since his introduction, but when called upon, he's decisive, he's short, he's snappy, and he puts his team up the court. He's proven a real super sub and an asset for Manchester City. Manchester City next up against AFC Bournemouth Warriors, as already mentioned, at 5 minutes past 3, which most definitely presents them their most credible opportunity to get a win in game week 3. Sale United have to wait till 5 past 3 as well to face Nottingham Forest. At the conclusion of this game, which is just under 6 minutes away, I'll show you the live league standings and how both this result on court A and the current 8-0 scoreline on court B influence the table. But I really hope you can tune in at 5 minutes to 2. GBG Knights versus Muscle Warriors, both locked on the exact same number of points in first and second, both unbeaten, both with title aspirations. It's almost certain that both will secure automatic promotion, which in itself is a huge achievement, but when you're neck and neck and so close to one another, you surely have the ultimate goal of lifting the beautiful championship trophy come the end of the season. James Simpson here. Stephen Miller-Whittaker between Jack Hassan and Jake Hudson. Oscar Spink a little deeper. The clearer option, but one that would produce more risks, so you can understand James Simpson's choice to fire it into the box. It's locked up by Stephen Miller-Whittaker. I want to see him be a little bit cute here to keep it in play. He's just had a strap come loose from his chair. Nothing to really trouble play, being a small bit of fabric. It's good work from Stephen Miller-Whittaker. Weaves from one side of the goal to the other in desperate pursuit of that equaliser. He's got 4 minutes to try and do so. Good work from James Simpson as well to vacate in just enough time to prevent that 2-on-1. That shows that game understanding that was probably lacking in the 23-24 campaign. As I've said several times across game week 3, there is a huge step up between regional league football and national league football, and players acclimatising to the pace, to the intensity, to the physicality is a real challenge. But James Simpson exhibited it brilliantly there, just to read the game and give Stephen Miller-Whittaker the room to roam. So congratulations to him. In the overall scheme of things, these are two teams towards the bottom of the championship standings, and you're seeing a fantastic level of football be played. Our National League truly has never been brighter. Oscar Spink just trying to force the ball down to James Simpson, who's trapped in that top left-hand corner. David D flicked to Jack Hassan. Just off Oscar Spink's chair for a Sale United ball. David D to take. Into James Simpson. Out of play. David G just cushions it into Oscar Spink. Approaching the final minute. A very even game, it has to be said. Even if Manchester City go on to lose this game, they surely see the huge positives from this performance against a team that's developing and growing. Jay Pixon now, the most advanced he's been all game. Can they find an equaliser? They do leave it late sometimes. Their 1-0 win over Nottingham Forest came deep into additional time, so it shows that they have the mentality to go to the very end. David D brilliantly tried to prevent that from being the case. And on the topic of David D, I'd be hard pressed to find a more suitable recipient of the player of the match. Jack Hassan's done a fantastic job, but just in terms of his involvement and how busy he's been, not to mention the fact that he scored the single goal, means that I think it's a fairly clear choice on my behalf. Final 10 seconds. Manchester City 0, Sale United 1. It looks like it'll end that way. Sale United will get their second successive win in game week 3 of the competition. I think I'm right in saying that Sale United haven't secured 2 successive wins in this season. I don't think they did it last season either. So this could be the catalyst for a real push for them in the remaining game of game week 3 and the remaining games of game week 4 and 5. A big round of applause from Mark Hudson. He'll be delighted with that real professional performance. Nothing that really threatened Jake Hudson in the Sale United goal. Just a late bit of pressure from Stephen Miller-Whittaker, the most notable attempt on behalf of the designated home team. But Sale United do come away with the 1-0 win. So if we reference the table really quickly, you will see how that influences things. Teesside still with an emphatic win on Court B sees them boost that goal difference significantly. Villa Rockets, following their earlier 5-0 victory over Hull and East Yorkshire, lessened that gap to just 1. Now they've got a 10-goal buffer, so that 11-0 win for Teesside Steel, not only their greatest in the National League, one that really helps their chances in pursuit of that third place position. On Court A here, Manchester City still in 11th, but they do sit just a point behind Nottingham Forest and 2 behind Hull and East Yorkshire. Sale United, with their second successive win, go on to 15 points. Another win for them, depending on the results around them, could see them go all the way up to 5th in the division, which speaks to that development, which speaks to that progression and the talent that they are showing. Thank you to all that are tuning in to me here at the Lee Westwood Sports Centre. I will be back very shortly for what promises to be another great game. Manchester United versus West Bromwich Albion Dudley.